Watch this.
The 2026 legislative session is on the horizon, a time for lawmakers to push forward new ideas and a chance to budget the state's checkbook.
Change is inevitable, adaptation and is optional. We are going to adapt.
A preview of what's to come for Monday's State of the State. Today, people in North Idaho are hitting the slopes, enjoying the powder to celebrate a donkey, one who made a very valuable discovery many years ago.
One of my old ranch sayings is change is inevitable, adaptation and is optional. We are going to adapt.
Well, Governor Brad Little setting the stage for his State of the State address coming up on Monday, which is the kickoff to the 2026 legislative session. Today was the preview. His comments touched on the projected budget deficit Idaho is looking at. Monday, we will hear the governor's vision for the year and budget recommendations for lawmakers. But today, Joe Parris asking the questions during the pre-session governor presser. Joe, what was the word on the budget? Was it the biggest topic, too?
Yeah, I think the budget's really going to frame most of the discussions moving forward in 2026. But fascinating question and answer period with the governor. The budget's going to be a big debate in the early session, mid-session, all the way till sine die. In the latest legislative report published in December, it shows a projected budget deficit is $40.3 million. Idaho, by law, they'll need to balance the budget, and the governor will give that full pitch on Monday. And Governor Little faced criticism for signing in more than $400 million in tax cuts across a few pieces of legislation last session. Tax cuts for the government means less revenue to the state, so the math there is what critics point to as what could have easily avoided a projected budget shortfall. And I've spoken to Republican lawmakers over the past several months, and they frame the discussion differently. They point to changing revenue numbers that improved in November, by the way, but they need to be addressed. Some even told me they think Idaho lawmakers could continue to propose and pass more tax cuts in 2026. I asked the governor if he thought Idaho could afford that.
We got to get our arms around OB3 and the implementation, because that's going to make a difference in what's available. And so after we do that, I would not be shocked if there's a proposal to do further, and I'll look at it. It depends upon the magnitude on it, depends upon who pays it, depends upon who doesn't pay it, depends upon all those things. But I would not be shocked. But I think before anybody talks about a significant tax, we better figure out what we're going to do with OB3.
And you heard the governor touch on a major topic for the session, the OB3, the One Big Beautiful Bill, the big legislation passed on the 4th of July by Congress in D.C. So how will Idaho handle the tax cuts that were included in the One Big Beautiful Bill? Idaho has to conform or agree to the list of provisions. They usually do. And without a law that outlines any reasons otherwise, Idaho is expected to conform with almost all the cuts that were approved by Congress. Tax changes include no taxes on tips, overtime, automobile interest, other provisions, and the Tax Foundation nationally, they forecast that the cost to Idaho is about $168 million in revenue every year until this all expires, scheduled now at the end of 2028. Between what we mentioned and some corporate tax changes, the forecasted revenue loss is $284.4 million for 2026. So what will they do?
We're going to continue to balance the budget. We're going to plan forward. I'm optimistic, but cautiously optimistic. And of course, probably the first thing that the legislature is going to grapple with is how do we implement tax compliance. That's usually the first or second bill of the legislature. That'll be an interesting prospect. I did commit to the president when I met with him that we were going to implement compliance. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from.
So we'll see if Governor Little's commitment will be held up by lawmakers. Stay tuned, as they say. It'll be interesting to see how Governor Little's numbers balance out the budget with all those moving targets considered during the State of the State on Monday. On a very different topic, I asked Governor Little about the Trump administration's move to reschedule marijuana from Class 1 to Class 3. Idaho's congressional delegation pushed back on that, and proponents say that the reclassification, it helps the FDA study marijuana for potential medical use. Governor Little touched on that and made a definitive comment, though, on marijuana and if it could be available in Idaho.
If the FDA needs to do research on it, and they can take a marijuana plant, and there's a zillion different subspecies of marijuana, and find something good out of it, that we can make sure what the pharmaceutical grade is and make it available. I am, because we've already got 4 of them, cancer treatment for nausea, those other things. I am okay with that, but anything that opens the door to the phony recreational marijuana we see in a lot of other states, or the phony medical marijuana that we see in other states, and the recreational marijuana, as long as I'm standing by the door, it's not going to happen.
There is a citizens ballot initiative that is floating out there. We will find out in the coming months if it will qualify for the 2026 ballot. And we will have full coverage live on Monday. Hunter, from the State of the State, we will have that live in its entirety from the governor. We'll have the press conference and the questions after it. So a lot of questions about how the budget's going to be handled. We are expecting to get those on Monday.
Yeah, I was going to say, no surprise to hear budget talks are kind of the top concern, but also, you know, interesting, different message than what Bruce Skog said just the other day on marijuana. So
yes,
we'll see how that one plays out.
We will. And I did want to mention real quickly on the budget, it was asked if the governor was open to Medicaid expansion repeal.
Oh, yeah.
That was a no in his opinion for the most part. We also asked if budget changes could impact K through 12 budgets and a commitment not to cut budgets there. It would appear the governor's perspective is he would really like to see that kept whole.
Well, as the session goes, we'll see how it plays out. Thanks, Joe. The State Historical Society is working with an Idaho tribe over recently discovered human remains. Plus, a former teacher is behind bars. But first, people are set to protest in downtown Boise after a woman was shot and killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis. That's happening at 6 p.m. Before that, local leaders are holding a press conference at the Capitol in reaction to the shooting. Speakers include Terry Pickens, who is running for Idaho governor. We'll have the latest tonight on the news at 6 and 10. A former Wilder teacher has been sentenced to more than a decade behind bars for sexually abusing a student. 35-year-old Juvent Ramirez was sentenced to 14 years in prison for sexually battering a minor at a Wilder school where he taught. Canyon County prosecutors say Ramirez groomed and inappropriately touched a female student, and it was captured on surveillance camera. He must serve at least 3 years before being eligible for parole. Ramirez must also register as a sex offender upon his release. An update to a story we brought to you yesterday. The Idaho State Historical Society is now working with the Shoshone-Paiute tribes after human remains were discovered at a construction site in Owyhee County this week. The Historical Society says the remains will be treated with the utmost dignity and respect. And that's the 411 on the 208. Well, there are proposed budget cuts that could impact not just Oregon, but Idaho's future workforce. The Oregon Agriculture Teachers Association is calling on lawmakers to continue funding $1.1 million in grant funding that supports programs like FFA, agricultural education, and career and technical education. Now, it was recommended to the state's Joint Ways and Means Committee to cut that funding. But the Oregon FFA and ag teachers worry that it will hurt not just the underserved communities, but also the career and technical education pathways, which they say are some of the most effective tools schools have to prepare students for today's workforce.
We take students and we provide them these foundational skills that then we are able to funnel into the workforce, into our collegiate partners. Collegiate partners then take them on and expand that knowledge and further educate them so that we're still going into that workforce ready and career ready success. And we have high demand kids. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I've been told that as soon as an employer gets an application that says FFA on it, they immediately take a double look at that resume because they know the skills that we're teaching these kids.
This is happening in Oregon, but it matters here in Idaho too. Agriculture and trade industries across state lines rely on a shared workforce. From farming and ranching to welding, mechanics, and ag technology, educators say fewer students entering those pipelines now could mean fewer skilled workers filling critical jobs in the future. It's a tight pinch we continue to hear from the ag community. They can't find skilled workers to come work for them. Coming up at 6, we're going to talk to students about what skills future students might just lose out on. Out of money, with not very much food, a man was traveling through Idaho before it was even a state. When hope and riches presented itself in the form of a lost donkey, now more than a century later, that donkey is celebrated on the slopes. It is a big day in North Idaho. Today, at Silver Mountain Resort in Kellogg, they're celebrating the Jackass, a donkey, that is. Jackass Day pays annual homage to the mountain's rich origins and a certain burro who left behind a legacy that would surpass the last couple of centuries.
The story goes, a man by the name of Noah Kellogg came to the area to prospect in 1885 with nothing more than flour, beans, bacon, and a traveling companion who carried it all, a jackass named Bill. Well, Bill wandered off one early September night, and it took weeks to find him, but they did, just 2 miles south in an area called Wardner, just grazing among the Galena deposit, which is a fancy word for lead ore. Turns out, Bill was eating on what would eventually be established as the world-famous Bunker Hill Mine. It led to the city of Kellogg incorporating in 1907, and for nearly 100 years that mine produced more than 28 million tons of lead, silver, and zinc. Then in 1981, the Bunker Hill Mine closed down, leaving thousands out of work and a slew of lead contamination. But Bill's legacy still lingers in the area too. In 1967, Jackass Ski Bowl, named in honor of Burro Bill, opened nearby, though it didn't last long. In 1973, Jackass Ski Bowl went bankrupt, later bought and renamed Silverhorn. In 1990, it changed names again and is now known as Silver Mountain Resort. However, Kellogg has embraced its burro beginnings, its Jackass genesis, if you will. The welcome sign still reads, "This is the town founded by a jackass and inhabited by its descendants."
Actually say the name of our holiday on TV. It's not going to get bleeped out or anything.
Well, yes, we can, Gus Colburn, because we are just talking about a donkey. Gus is the marketing manager for Silver Mountain Resort, or as we learned, the ski hill once named the Jackass Ski Bowl. This is the video I've been waiting for all day. The resort has continued to embrace its burro beginnings. Today, again, Jackass Day, and the mountain celebrated having people by wearing their best vintage ski gear, and they celebrated their heritage with $20 ski lift tickets, birthday cake, and of course, singing happy birthday there to the ski area.
it's always a fun day to celebrate Jackass Day every year. Just looking back on the history of the resort. It's obviously a unique name, one that moms aren't always excited to let their kids say, but once a year it's okay.
So moms, it's okay. He said it's okay. Also, as you saw from his interview, the snow there looks thick. He says it's been stacking up the past couple days, 16 inches yesterday, another 4 inches this morning. So I think it's fair to say the weather is also celebrating.
Beautiful photos of the winterscapes up in the mountains right now. And you didn't have to be in the mountains to wake up to fresh snow this morning. East of Boise, we did see just a little bit. This photo taken by our very own Audrielle Tackett of about half an inch of snow, the blanketed mountain home early this morning. Magic Valley had some snow on the ground as well. Unfortunately, with temperatures down to about 25 in the mountain home area early this morning and the wet freeway, it made a skating rink for drivers between Boise and Mountain Home. Luckily, as temperatures have warmed above freezing, at least from Mountain Home westward, we have seen that ice melt, but still we have a very cold day on our hands. Not much left as far as any moisture or precipitation out there. Radar picking up just a couple light little flurries still across portions of central and southern Idaho, but accumulating snowfall is done. It's done for today, and it is likely done for at least the next week or so. So bigger headline right now and for the rest of our evening will be the cold. These are our current temperatures. We're at 36 in Boise. Boise, upper 30s for the upper Treasure Valley, just upper 20s in the Magic Valley right now. And of course, the kicker today, if you've been outside, you know that wind out of the north-northwest has been howling. We've seen gusts of 30 to 45 miles per hour from Mountain Home into the Magic Valley. Right now, sustained winds across this area, the I-84 corridor, 15 to near 25 miles per hour. That will literally take your breath away. Very brisk through the rest of tonight. Good news is that wind will start easing overnight. Looking ahead to your day tomorrow, it will be a very cold start, but we should enjoy sunshine off and on throughout the day. And with less wind and warmer temperatures, we'll climb back into the 40s. I think all in all, pretty enjoyable wrap up to the work week after we get through our frosty morning. These are my forecast low temperatures for tomorrow morning, down back into the 20s across the Treasure and Magic Valleys, single digits for Stanley, teens for most of our mountain areas as we have a cold air mass in place, and clearing skies with lighter winds overnight will allow those temperatures to drop into nose-numbing territory, but we'll climb into above average territory in the afternoon, at least for the Boise area, into the 40s for the entire Treasure Valley. We'll see those mid to upper 30s in the Magic Valley. Still a very brisk day over in the Twin Falls area. This is seasonable though for this point in January. Mountain locations will see mid to upper 20s to low 30s, just depending on your location. And the snow that has fallen in the mountains this week, we needed it, we welcome it, but that's all we are going to see for the next week or so, as high pressure off to the west will continue amplifying in, really starting Friday into the weekend, and that will keep us cool, mostly clear, but also stagnant. This will set the stage for what I expect to be a developing inversion from the weekend on. So if you like low 40s, a partly sunny sky, light winds, this is the forecast for you. You can see it, our 7-day outlook here for the Boise area. No chance of precipitation from Friday all the way through next Thursday. Temperatures will fluctuate a bit each afternoon, but not by much, hovering about 5 to 6 degrees above normal. Mornings will be cold, down below freezing, so keep the ice scraper handy, but those afternoons pretty quiet for the next week.
Well, it's a bittersweet time here at KTVB. One of our friends and coworkers is set to start a new chapter soon. He's an anchor, reporter, and a major contributor here on the 208. That, of course, would be Joe Parris. We're gonna miss you, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss you guys too. It is bittersweet. But yes, I'm excited for you to take this 208 on a new journey.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But
Okay.
I want you to tell the viewers what is happening. What's next for
Yes,
you?
I've taken a role with the Secretary of State's office. As you've seen in my reporting, very passionate about elections, the core of our democracy. So excited to work with the Secretary of State, Phil McGrain, his communications director, Chelsea, Gabe, the data team. Like it's a world of political and election nerds that I'm stepping into, and I am very grateful for my time here at Channel 7, of course. I have so much to owe to Channel 7 and the great audience about where I am in my life professionally and personally. I just have become so passionate about the centerpiece of our democracy that it was an opportunity that I was very excited to throw myself into.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. You've been our, major person for all things politics. I think the other question for you is, what were some of your favorite ones? I'm going to name mine,
Okay.
which is Dogs with Jobs. I learned about that just
Dogs with
recently.
Jobs was good.
Such a good series.
Yeah, I love that. That was when I was on the morning show.
Yeah.
Wake Up Idaho with all my great friends. When I started here with Maggie O'Mara, Larry Gebert, Doug Petcash. We had a lot of fun on the morning show, and I graduated on a Friday from the University of Colorado. I made it out here on the following Monday.
Oh.
Fun fact, by the way, Morgan Romero is who actually brought me out here. Morgan and I used to do a radio show together in college, so she brought me here for a visit when I was still in college, and she took me up to Table Rock and she took me to Fancy Freeze, and I never looked back, so here I am. But yeah, my favorite story is probably the Great Goat Escape, when all the goats destroyed a neighborhood in Boise. I mean, it was very literally one of the top stories of the day around the world. I got media requests in all different languages, and I got to do CNN, and I was in the printed copy of the New York Times. So it was a crazy time, and I've had so many great memories here.
This is incredible. I'm going to read a viewer comment really quick. Carrie in Boise, say it ain't so, Joe. No. You're going to know that you're going to be missed by many. Best of luck to you, and hopefully we'll see you again somewhere soon. You know where he's going now. But a lot of viewer comments saying this. I think my last thing is, when's your last day?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will be working I still got work to do, by the way. So February 5th will be my last day, right up to the Olympics, and I am excited to do the work, and I'm here to do that honestly, and I can't wait to dive into the legislative session on Monday. And then, Hunter, I'm excited for you to take over the 208 on a new adventure, because I don't think people at home know this because you're so humble. Hunter can do it all. She can do the politics, she can shoot, she can edit. A lot of the graphics you see, whether it's in her story or not, Hunter did herself. So Hunter is unbelievable. I always try to sing her praises in the newsroom because she's so quiet and humble about what she does.
As to you,
No. So,
just take it all.
Hunter, I am so excited to be a viewer of the 208 coming up. I've told you personally and in the newsroom, there's a week that you had the best stories every single day.
Incredible people.
Any reporter would kill to have one story like that for a whole year. You told 5 in a row. So, Hunter, it's great.
It was a lucky week. Well, Joe,
No.
We're really happy that you have this new opportunity, but sad to see you go.
Yes, and I'll be back on the 208 to host tomorrow. So
we still have time. So
yes, we got time.
watch Joe.
Thank you, Hunter.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at some of your comments. We have Deborah from Meridian. I have noticed that you haven't had text comments at the end of the 208. Have you discontinued the comment section? Well, actually, fun fact, we're gonna lean into it even more. We're gonna try and have it happen as the show is happening. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna try and ramp in so we can hear from you guys. And also, good luck, Joe. I'll miss you from Teresa. We're gonna miss him too. All right, see you later.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.